Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the very second episode of FPL Don't Panic. This is the first live stream, so forgive any technical difficulties. I am traveling at the moment, so technology is bereft, but I think we've got enough to at least get through this and just give you some of my thoughts on the Haaland Salah dilemma, which I know we're all facing. As well as a sort of my 5-game week strategy, which I think you'll probably find is quite a bit different to what a lot of other content creators would be saying. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's just restate the objectives of what I'm trying to do. Largely, I'm actually doing this series of videos as much to keep me disciplined. I am not a very disciplined FPL player, but I did develop some good methodologies last year, which I will take you through at various points in the season. The first key point, though, is there's this first 5 game weeks. And trying to keep on track as much as possible, especially given the challenge we've got. I have to say, Fantasy did a very, very good job this year on the pricing. It's making it very, very challenging. I'm sure, like me, you've been through about 100 different drafts, and even the draft that I published about a week ago. It's all changed. There's been a lot happening in the last week or so. We've obviously had Solanke's gone to Spurs. We've got Liverpool firing on all cylinders with Jota and Diaz and Jobs showing amazing form. Haaland blanked in the Community Shield. Neto has gone to Chelsea. There's just so much happening. It's such a moving dynamic. But yeah, we'll get onto that in another point. Let's talk about the two main topics at the moment. Let's talk about the Haaland Salah dilemma. We've got four clear factions have obviously developed as players are developing their strategy and their teams. We've obviously got the Haaland draft, we've got the Haaland Salah drafts, we've got the no Haaland Salah drafts, and then the Haaland draft and so on. To just give you an idea of the challenge, and I have done quite a lot of analysis on this. I do have my own methodology around analysing and projecting points. If I was to give you this team, and I was to say, Henderson had great stats last year. He was running hot towards the end of the season, as well Crystal Palace, and he was averaging 6, 7, 8 points a game. Lots of save points and clean sheets. Gavardio, say Saliba or Gabriel, say Burn or Hall from Newcastle have got great fixtures. Salah, Eze, Gordon, and then take your pick of a really good Bob. Bob's just coming through for City. He's going to be playing the next 2 or 3 games. He's going to be fantastic. Great assist as well in the Community Shield. Brereton Diaz, he was very, very good when he was in the Premiership last year. Hudson-Odoi. And there's quite a few of these 5.5s that are breaking through. And then if you had alongside that lineup, Haaland, Isak, and Muniz up front, you'd be going, crikey. It's that is a very, 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 very solid team. I project that will get you your 70 points, basically. But I have also produced teams with just Haaland that I can easily project 70 points on. I've had Haaland Salah draft, Haaland only drafts, which I, at the moment, am sticking to my guns on, but I'm wavering, which is also showing around it can comfortably get that 70 points. And indeed, if you put out a no Haaland Salah draft, I mean, that is like, you've got your Pams, you've got your Sackers, you've got everyone in there. So it's pick your poison. It really is pick your poison, I think. I am going the differences are really in what you're actually trying to do in these first few game weeks. Sort of some of the pros and cons around it. I mean, with Haaland, obviously the pros, and I absolutely guarantee you he will get 40 returns this year. If you look at the 22-23 season, it was around 40 returns. If you look at last year, it was around 40 returns. So I reckon he's going to be 32 to 35 goals and 5 to 10 assists. Just build that into your planning. The thing is that is still only just over 1 return per match. So he does need to return that. Or that's where you could find yourself in trouble. But if it's not returning, easy enough to get on and jump onto someone else, or Watkins, etc., whatever you want to go. Other pro with Haaland, he's obviously a set and forget. He's a set and forget captain. Just put the captain's armband on him every week, and you're going to go well. Cons, 6 million price difference. It does, even though I say you can get a great team out with Haaland in it, it does have a knock-on effect. There are things, where you will have to bring in that $5.5 million midfielder. You'll lose a little bit in defence. You won't really, well, you might, but again, you're going to be really shaving off the rest of the field if you want to bring in a Trent. Gvardiol, double Arsenal defence, which I think a lot of us obviously played with in the second half of the season, in particular last year. It will have a knock-on effect to at least 2 to 3 players in your team. That's a lot of eggs to have in one basket. Now, he will play every minute in his mind. He wants to. Will Pep let him? If he has banged in 2 goals and City are 4-0 up, could he be an early sub? I think we'll see a bit more of that this year. And I might even see, it wouldn't even surprise me to see him rested against some teams. If they've got, I don't think they'll rest him in the second match, which is Ipswich, which we've obviously all terrified of, but we haven't got him in our teams. But it wouldn't surprise me if we do see him rested for certain matches or early subs. He has been complaining of this muscle injury. It affected him towards the end of last season. There's been a little bit of it crop up again, apparently, in pre-season. I don't think it's a massive risk, but I do think there is an injury and rotation risk there with so much eggs in one basket. So again, it's probably one of the reasons why I am sticking with the Salah draft at the moment, but I'm still mildly terrified. A few points on Salah, 2.5 million cheaper. Obviously, you can build a stronger all-round squad if you go the Salah path. He only finished just behind Haaland in 22-23, and we all remember what an amazing season 22-23 was for Haaland. But Salah was, I think, only about 10-15 points behind him. So will Salah kick on this season? We don't know. I fancy him. That's why I'm sticking with him. He's had a good pre-season. He's had a rest. He, as I mentioned in the previous video, he did go downhill. Massively went downhill after the Africa's Cup. He was still averaging 6 points a game, though. Remember that. So yeah, it's the choice we have to make. And I am going the Salah route. And the other thing with Salah is he'll be out there for pretty much the 90 minutes, and that's something I think needs to be considered. The longer players on the pitch, the more chance you've got a goal. And Liverpool do score a lot of goals in those last 15 minutes. Stats prove that. Also with Salah as well, having it in the midfield, if it's not working out with Salah, it's a very, very easy pivot. With Haaland, you really only got a few options that you can pivot into from him if it's not working out with him. With Salah, there's a really easy pivot into, depending on who you've got in your team, but you can easily pivot to Saka, Son, Foden, any of the top midfielders you can pivot to very, very easily if it's not working out with Salah. You can do it in one move. Anything I need to do, if I do decide to go on to Haaland, it's going to be 2 transfers minimum to get there. And then that's probably going to leave a very, very weak point in the midfield. So 3 realistically. So that's kind of it. I'm going the Haaland path, or Salah path, of course. There's no editing on this, so any slips of the tongue you just have to deal with. Have a sip of Guinness, that'll help. So let's talk about my game week strategies, because what I'm trying to do, I've got more notes around here than a stripper in Vegas. I'm going to talk you through. I think my strategy is a wee bit different. I am trying to protect myself because if Haaland goes off, he will go off. Now, as I say, we've got these 3 or 4 factions of, the Haaland, Salah, blah, 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 blah. The one I'm most scared about, and I think what all of us are, will be the Haaland Salah draft, particularly with Haaland having that fixture against Ipswich at home in match 2. So I do have a plan. It's a plan it's a 5 match plan. I will early spoiler alert. I will be wildcarding in game week 4 or game week 6. So when we're building the strategy, basically, as I said, we've got to build a decent team for match week 1. We don't want to fall off the pace. And I think getting a strong start in FPL this year will be actually more important than ever. Traditionally, as I said, my aim is to hit that average of 70 points a week. Now, that's an average. I might have a week where I get 50. I might have a week where I get 80, 90. It's that, but it's the way I build my team and the analysis that I'll show you when we get to game week 5 and I actually do my wild card in that sort of 5 or 6 period. That's when I've got some real data to work with, and I'll show you some of how I've actually devised that and why that works and why it's really important. Top 70 points in some seasons would have actually won the thing. I think we need more than 70 these days. We're actually up against AI. A winner last year actually averaged 73 points in the end. I averaged 70 points after I sort of developed the methodology, which, as I say, I'll show in a later video. That averaged me 70 points per week. I was obviously really happy with. I actually went from 8.5 millionth in the world because I've been messing around pre-game week 21. Just experimenting with different things to actually get a little bit serious with it. So I went from about 8.5 millionth, having had my fun and experimenting, blowing all my chips, and that's an important point I need to make before game week 21, to I think just having one wild card left post game week 21. But I still managed to average 70 points a week, moved from about 8.5 million to about 3.5 million, which doesn't 3.5 million is a terrible finish, but if I could replicate that across the season, then we're actually talking something reasonably good, and certainly a top 100k finish, I would imagine. So I'm going to take you through this game week 1 plan. First and foremost, get yourself a decent team out. We're all flying blind now. We're working off last year's data. Try and get a good team out. You'll see my last draft. I'll announce my final draft a few hours before deadline on Friday. There are changes, and that's largely because of some of the things that have been happening in the last week or so. I'd say maybe 7 of those players have survived. And also, as I'm working out my 5-game week strategy, that has led me to change a few players as well. Really important to get off that strong start. So just get a good team out. It's a toss of a coin. There's so many good players there. You can get a really good draft out in the mall. If you want to, like some of my picks, fantastic. If you just go on your own path, play your own game, get out there, just get a good team out. Things to probably think of when you're getting that first team out. Player ownership. This is something I am actually looking at. There's player ownership. Anyone that's looking at this eventually, there's no one looking at the moment, thank God. Player ownership is really, really important. You've got to get that balance right between protecting yourself and also having some differentials in there. So players sort of that are really highly owned at the moment. Now this is data from a few days ago. We've got in the defense area, we've got Rhea, 33%, Saliba, 39%, Gavardi, old 32%, Porro, 29%, Turner, goalkeeper, 22%. If you have got him on your bench, get rid of him now. Get another bench player. When people realize he's not playing, and that is, his value will drop, and holding your value, and that's a key part of my strategy, is to try and build team value in that first 4 or 5 game weeks. Get him off your bench, get someone else in there, get Paulson in there, get someone in there that is, hardly anyone's owned. I'm probably the only person in the world that owns Paulson because he is now injured, but he's never going to get a game anyways. So great, buy him. His price is not going to change. Get rid of Turner if you've got him, because his price will drop because people will start selling him when they realize he's a non-playing $4 million player. Henderson. I'm actually thinking about Henderson. I'm sort of tossing up between Henderson and Pope at the moment. Henderson had a great run out last season. He's just 7% owned. Pope's not quite highly owned either. Another one to get out of your squads if you've got a minute. I'm sure most of you are aware. Some of the more casual players won't be. Foden is really highly owned at 26%. He will not be playing in game week 1. At best, he'll get a few minutes. He's been rested. He's not going to be coming in until game week 2, maybe for a half, and then maybe game week 3, when I would have hopefully considering sort of bringing him in myself, to be honest with you. You've got Palmer at 46, Salah 36. So the highly owned players, if you don't have them, if they go off, they're the ones that will hurt your rank. Basic maths. Lots of players have them. You don't have them. They get hat trick, captained, whatever. Boom, they are going to hurt you. That's kind of why we have to sort of think about the Haaland situation. Enough on that. There's the ownership figures. You can find them yourselves online. Think about your own teams. I think I've got probably in what I'd consider highly owned players at the moment. I've probably got about 6 or 7 of them. Players that I have that are not that highly owned, but I'm still going to stick with. Havertz, just 14%. I still have little worries there, but the last friendly, I think we'll be okay. I'll talk about the team anyways, later point. But player ownership, as you're setting out that game week 1, have a think about it. You know, you're going to build a strong team, but think about the players that other people actually own. So in game week 1, so who are the players that can hurt me? Yeah. And then fundamentally, to be honest with you, it's prey. It's the toss of a dice. It's a gamble. There's going to be so much luck involved in this. If I hit my 70 points, I'll be really happy. Even if I hit plus 60, not too unhappy with that. We're just building our team, and we're trying to obviously trying to get off to a reasonable start. Game week 2 is where it does get interesting for me, and this is where I am going to be going very, very different, I think, to a lot of managers out there. Possibly going different. If my team blows it out of the water on game week 1 and I hit something crazy, 80, 90, 100 points, or even if I just hit my 70, I think I'll be happy. If Haaland goes off, my players don't, and all of a sudden I find, you know, I'm 30, 40 points off the pace in 1 week, I will seriously consider doing a free hit in game week 2. Now, you're crazy, Des, I hear you saying. You're crazy. Well, think about this. One of the game-changing rule changes or additions that they made to Fantasy this year is that 5 transfer rule, where you can actually roll up to 5 free transfers. And for my methodology, once I get past 5 game weeks, that really, really works. And I didn't know it was coming when I saw that announced. I thought, whoa, that really helps me with the way I actually plan to play the game, because it does require, the way I play it, to have, I won't necessarily say an overhaul, and John and Sam want to go through it, but yeah, having those transfers up your sleeve to actually do 2, 3, 4 transfers at once, it really plays into my hands. So I'm actually not really worried about losing the free hit. The other reason as well, there's not going to be as many big double game weeks this year. With the rule changes in the FA Cup around when games are played and replay, all that sort of stuff, we're not going to see the mega double game weeks. There will be some, but again, 5 free transfers. You can, the double game weeks happen in the second half of the season. I'll still have a wild card then. If there is a decent sized double game week coming up, I can manage that. So I'm not scared of using a free hit in game week 2. Do I want to use it? No. Will I use it if I have to make sure I'm keeping pace, or to steal a march? Absolutely, I will. And that's it. So yeah, stick or twist. I hope to stick. Still nice to hang on to that free hit, but I will play that free hit and set up a mega team for that game week 2. And then if I set it up right, then I'll have a really good team then coming into game week 3 from the setup in the first half. So it'll be set up for a home fixture. Anyway, get your team set up, stick or twist in 2. Also worth thinking about who we're actually playing against, and you know what are you playing to win your mini league, or are you just playing for rank, which is what I'm doing. Although I do want to win my mini league as well. Hi, Chris. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah. So yeah, think about that. Who are we actually playing against? There are 5 million players registered as of today for Fantasy Premier League. Majority of those will be I guess you call them more engaged managers, those that have actually been fiddling around with their teams, you know, for a few weeks, thinking about it, playing with drafts, etc. Well thought out. The ones that are coming in this last week, I'm not saying all of them, I'm sure some of them will be pretty serious as well. They're going to be coming in, work leagues, all sorts of things. They're going to look at it, throw a team out there, and some of them will do very, very well. You're also going to have a lot of players that will come in and they're going to nail it. I guarantee you that the team that finishes number 1 in the world, and in fact, there'll be quite a few teams that will finish in that sort of top few thousand, and there'll be a lot of them that they're fly-by-nighters. They're actually just going, and you're going to see some ridiculous team that scored 130 points. It's going to have a bunch of players in there that you've never heard of, and some left back from Southampton that you don't even know his name has bloody managed to bag a header and keep a clean sheet, and it's been triple captained. You're going to see some absolutely ludicrous teams. So we're not worried about those. It's those engaged managers that we're actually that we're playing against. And by about game week 10 or 15, to 25% of the game will have almost lost interest. They're just going in there to just fiddle with their teams. So we're really sort of playing against, ultimately, as the season goes on, probably about 5, 6, 7,000. Sorry, million, I mean. So we're thinking about that as well, as you sort of pick out your team. Don't worry about falling behind in certain areas. It's just looking to stay in touch with those serious players, and a quick flick through the quick flick through the league itself and looking at various teams and how they're playing, it will soon give you a good pointer on how that's shaping up. Game week 3. Yeah, I have no plan other than if I've got my team set right, it should do pretty well. Game week 4 is the one. I would say I'm 50% certain I will do an early wild card. I would like to get through to game week 5 or 6. I suspect it's going to happen in game week 4, certainly by 5. And that is, there's some fixture swings that we need to look for. There's a big fixture swing towards City, and it swings away a little bit. There's going to be a few fixture swings there. Liverpool would be a really good example. I'm getting a little bit Liverpool stacked at the moment. There's Liverpool have got some great fixtures and they're clearly on fire at the moment. So at the moment, I am seriously looking at bringing in Trent. Already got Salah, and then we've got Diaz, a couple of goals. They're looking good. Slot seems to have them pulling in the right direction. But it's looking at those fixture swings. That's why I would ideally like to get to game week 5 before I wild card. But I might pull the trigger in 4, depending on how things are shaping up. If it's ticking along, and I'm ticking those 70 points per week, or I'm nicely on average there, and I'm not falling off the pace, or hopefully I'm ahead of the pace, staying in that sort of top area, then we'll stick with it. But the data that I'm having to analyze at the moment, and as I say, I'm putting together some very, very good teams for all of the factions that look good. It's very, very hard to pick, but Salah draft. Go through that process. If I'm hitting the 70s, I'm not falling too far off the pace. I'm going to stick with it. Not afraid to pull the pin on the free hit in game week 2. Cover Salah, captain home. I suspect I'm going to do it, to be honest with you. And more I actually think it through, I think it's more likely than not that I will pull the pin on a free hit in 2. And then my game week 1 team will come into game week 3 with some really tasty fixtures. Coming on that flip side, then we hit game week 4, pray, and wild card. And I've got some decent data to work with then, and that's around that point where I will actually take you through a video, which is going to be called Paralysis by Analysis. And it's actually going to take you through, it's not an overly complex methodology, but it worked really, really well for me last year. As I say, I was hitting the 70s from game week 21 onwards. There was a point where I was, I think I was up in 300 something place in second chance. And that was with me still taking quite a few hits. And that's a rule I've got this year. No hits. They rarely work. And I was still taking quite a few hits, but I was up in about 340,000 place in second chance. And second chance is actually really hard to win because the average of that was about 76 points. Because people have obviously got the team set out. There's a lot of chips been used. I had no chips. So ultimately, I finished about 700 or 800 because I actually did take some stupid gambles in the last few games just to see if I could crack the 100. But I'll certainly try. This is what the purpose of this video is, keeping me on track and disciplined. Yes, I know, Chris. I know you're listening. So listen, I'm going to probably leave it there. Was there anything else I wanted to cover? 3, 4. It was a little bit rambly, guys. I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to make sure I got this one out there. Cover that. No, we're good. So listen, if you have tuned in, thank you very much. As I say, it's very, very early days with this series of videos. It's very, very much about me keeping a record in case this all goes extremely well. It could all go terribly pear-shaped. But the most important thing is that we have fun, we play our own games, and above all else, don't panic. Take care.